Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Raising the Bar podcast. Today's episode, we're going to go over a little bit of what this week's kind of prep is looking like, and then just a little bit of background into a few other things. And then we'll finish off with a little more of a Q&A and kind of a little bit of why I do certain things during training. So to start, calories are the same as they were last week. Coach talked to me and he was saying that everything's looking good, so we're going to keep everything the same. And so for those who weren't here last week, that is around 2,100 calories, around 240 protein, 165 carb, and around 50 fat. So the meals this week are staying basically the same. So for pre-workout, and again, this is just a quick meal, just kind of get carbs and protein in, nothing too crazy. 60 grams of Quaker's oats and 30 grams of whey protein powder. And then intra-workout, I've got 1 scoop of EAAs from Canada Protein, just for something to have mid-workout. And depending on the day, I'll have either a little bit of salt in the pre-workout, like actual pre-workout supplement, or a little bit of potassium in the EAAs. And then training usually starts around, I want to say 6:30 in the morning, depending on when I work. Ideally, it's around kind of that 7-8 o'clock range, just so I'm up, out of bed, like not drowsy, kind of getting everything ready for the day. And yeah, then workout wise, I'll get into the workout a little later, but then I get my 25 minutes of cardio on the Stairmaster. I do that 4 times a week. This has been the same cardio for the past 10 weeks of prep. We haven't had to change too much for that, just because everything's been going smoothly. I've been on a solid 2 pounds of body weight per week type of deal, or close enough to it, I would say, that we're pretty comfortable with where we're at. When I started prep, I was 180.4, and at the time of recording this, which is June 10th, I am 161.2. So in 10 weeks, I'm down just shy of 20 pounds, which is pretty solid in my opinion. Back to the meals that I'm going to have still. So we are still having our 90 grams of cream of rice with 50 grams of whey and a square of dark chocolate. I mainly am just going to have this just as a nice carb up post-workout. I might lower the carbs just a little bit and spread it out through other meals, just because that 90 grams of cream of rice is 70 carbs. And with my carbs being 165 for the whole day, that takes up a big chunk of carbs. And next meal is 200 grams of cooked weight chicken breast, 50 grams of this kind of like rice, broccoli, zucchini, kale mixture that I got at No Frills. If you're looking at like any sort of kind of rice substitute or something to have kind of in some sort of chicken meal or some sort of ground meat meal, anything like that. So in my case, I have riced broccoli, zucchini, and kale, which comes in like a President's Choice bag. And then I'll do a half a serving of riced cauliflower as well. The next meal is 200 grams raw weight of ground chicken. And again, those same 2 kind of riced broccoli and zucchini, and then riced cauliflower. Last meal of the day is 1 rice cake with 20 grams of peanut butter, 300 grams of egg whites, 1 whole egg, and some jalapenos in that omelet. Again, just for flavor, nothing crazy about it. Just like the spicy food, I guess. So I had a buddy here asking me about what my training looks like outside of cardio. Again, usually I tag my cardio on the end of my regular workout, purely just out of convenience. Like if I work 9 to 5, I absolutely hate working out after like a shift. So just doing it in the morning and then having cardio right after may not be optimal, but it's something that kind of needs to be done just based off of priorities. But on the actual topic of what my kind of workout split is, Monday I have a chest and arms day. Tuesday is a back and shoulders day. Wednesday is my leg day. Thursday is my rest day or my check-in day. Friday I have a push day, and Saturday is a pull day. Later I'm going to go over kind of my push workout and why I do certain exercises. And overall, prep is still feeling really good. I'm feeling a lot more brain fog, if I'm being honest. Like, I'm just a little more forgetful. And I've talked to a couple other buddies of mine that are mid-prep as well, and they're like, man, I feel the same way. Like, I'll just forget shit all the time. But overall, I would say all the lifts are still going up and still progressing in the weights. The only thing that I would say is kind of a downer is that cardio is just still kind of feels heavy post-workout. So on days that I don't have it post-workout, it feels a lot better. But again, that's just from accumulating fatigue and everything. Hunger is still not too bad. Definitely times throughout the day at work if I'm probably not doing as much, I would say. I start to feel a little hungry, but usually work picks up pretty quickly, and then I'm able to kind of keep that hunger down a little bit. Although making meals, like making 5 meals a day is pretty nice, so it's a good way to split it all up for sure. So I'm going to go into a little more about like kind of how I got introduced to the gym and stuff like that. I've had a few friends and kind of people on Instagram asking me about kind of why or how I got into the gym in the first place. I touched on it a little bit in the last episode. I got into it. I was a big fan of snowboarding when I was in high school and kind of in middle school there. And I thought the best way to get better at that would be to lift weights. And with my thought in mind being if I had stronger legs, I'll be stronger at like being able to jump higher when I was snowboarding, or just being able to snowboard longer. That was not the case. It just made my legs just more fatigued when I would go out snowboarding. And I don't think I would recommend doing a leg day before going snowboarding. So kind of after this phase of kind of working out for snowboarding and realizing that it wasn't helping too much, I kind of just enjoyed the process of kind of getting stronger and kind of lifting more each week and stuff like that. Usually, honestly, I was just going for however long after classes in high school. I took a keen interest into it to the point where I went into university for my bachelor's of health sciences in kinesiology, which was honestly a really fun program. And I would, if you enjoy that, I would strongly recommend it as something like that. We had quite a few pretty interesting labs when it came to kind of how the human body kind of performs under kind of quite a variety of circumstances. Overall, though, I would say training while I was in university was kind of sporadic until I got into kind of third or fourth year. First and second year was that classic kind of going out, doing your thing, kind of not taking it too seriously, just getting in when you can. Third and fourth year, everything kind of got a little more serious when it came to especially grades and then kind of progression in the gym as well. Throughout university, I would say I did more of a like classic bro split and just kind of worked out as long as I wanted to work out, and then kind of called it, and then like ate like shit the rest of the day. But in my mind, I was like, oh, I worked out, I'm good to go for the day. Third and fourth year, we started taking a little more nutrition and then kind of realizing how much it actually plays a role in performance in the gym. So everything kind of changed doing that, meal prepping a lot more, kind of being more consistent with meals, and being more consistent with the gym and then kind of starting into a push-pull leg split. Definitely something I would recommend if you don't really have the time to put in like 5 days to the gym. If you've got 3 days, unless you're doing like 3 full body days, push-pull leg split is a pretty good way to kind of create that recovery and hit everything as hard as you can. And then getting into last year of university, kind of before COVID hit, I was just dialed in with working out. I would go to the gym 7 o'clock, hit my workout, go home, eat, have a coffee again, and then just do all my classes and whatnot. But I'd be all done my training and stuff before my first class, or even odd times if I had to sleep in, then it's just after class. And then COVID hit, kind of March of 2020 there, shut everything down. Gyms weren't doing so hot with that. Like I wasn't a huge fan of doing the at-home workout stuff. I knew I should have done a few more things. And even with COVID, it kind of brought me back home to where I am now. But after that kind of brief stint, I would say, of not working out as a result of kind of a lack of motivation, I would say, I started going to a new gym in town, and then lockdown after lockdown kind of takes a little more motivation away. However, big shout out to the gym that I go to, Owen Sound Fitness and Training. They provided everybody that was a member there with the equipment that they needed to be able to do proper home workouts. So in my case, I took a barbell and then I think 100 pounds worth of plates, something like that. Was able to get all my barbell movements in, and then I think my stepdad had a few dumbbells lying around, so I was able to do a couple smaller dumbbell things. So during that time, I also worked at a senior's home a little ways away from where I live now. Definitely a very eye-opening experience that was, especially during. But with working there, it took a lot of time up out of my schedule to kind of properly meal prep and stuff like that. So I was eating out a lot more, kind of going back into kind of those old habits of kind of not being as consistent with the gym and not being as consistent with my nutrition. So after a kind of brief stint at the senior's home, I got an opportunity as a kinesiologist at a physio clinic in town, and just been working there from kind of the early parts of 2021 until now. Definitely allowed for my workouts to be a lot more consistent with a more consistent schedule, and helped with overall kind of being able to meal prep a lot more, because again, it was a more consistent schedule. It wasn't having me work whatever hours that kind of seniors homes have you work. So this kind of helped a lot, kind of prep to kind of keep the consistency going. So small habits that kind of built its way up into this nice consistency has definitely helped kind of structure this prep for sure. Now I'm actually going to be full-time at the gym that I work out at, which is pretty nice. I am going to leave my job at the physio clinic I work at, just as a prep thing, and then with school and other things that I'm not going to talk about right now, it just makes it a lot easier, and then I'm able to not worry about as much about kind of having early workouts. Like I started my workout today at 6 o'clock this morning with a half-hour drive into town, so that adds up pretty quick. So I'm going to go a bit into my push workout and why, or what I do and why I kind of do it. I just got to pull this up quick. So I start off my workout just with a light 5 minutes on the treadmill, just to kind of warm up and kind of get everything ready, kind of finish the last few sips of pre, and then it's time to do push. I start my push workout off with a kind of medium incline Smith press. In my off season, I would say I did this kind of reverse banded, so it kind of helped at the bottom or kind of weaker part of the movement, and then allowed for it to be a little tougher at the top. Doing 2 top sets and then 1 back off set. So the top sets are around that 10 to 12, and then the back off sets around 15 to 20. Right after that, I have flat dumbbell press. Again, just getting the pressing movements out of the way, just making sure that we're not as fatigued for those. Gonna do 3 sets of 10 to 12 with that. Right after that, I go right into a fly for a top set and a back off set. The next little bit goes more into the kind of shoulders part of a push workout. I've got 3 sets of lateral raises, 3 sets of overhead press from the Smith machine, so a seated Smith machine overhead press. And that kind of burns out the rest of the shoulders there. And then I finish off with 2 tricep exercises, so cable press downs with kind of like a wider grip, I would say, so like just outside of shoulder width. And then I'll do a cable overhead extension, just kind of targeting a tricep in kind of different motions, I would say, because the one I'm pushing very much down and the other one I'm pushing up overhead. So yeah, just kind of hitting every muscle that I can with kind of as little volume to kind of keep everything growing. And this kind of goes into a topic about volume itself. So for this workout, I have 20 actual working sets. So one thing to take note with this kind of training style that I'm doing is I'm not counting my warm-up sets or my sets that work up to that kind of top weight as actual sets. In the past, I've done that, and it doesn't really benefit too much. So I don't even really count anything working up to that top set. So like even for me, if I'm doing a bench press and I'm doing my top set, let's say is 185. So I'll do my bar and then I'll do 95, 135, 165, and then I'll actually count 185 as my first actual set of that exercise. Just able to create a little more intensity with the exercise. And with finishing up about that push workout, that is going to wrap up today's episode. Next week we get into that 5-week out mark, which is going to start getting pretty interesting, especially when it comes to body weight wise. I'm probably going to be around that 159, 160 mark, which honestly I haven't been in that range of body weight since probably my first year of university. So I'm going to go into that a little more, and we're going to have a few other topics to talk about for that episode. So that'll be it for today, and peace out.